She placed the ring on his desk without a word. A diamond, platinum band. The kind of ring that cost more than her rent for the next 3 years. He stared at it, then at her. "Where did you get this?" "I found it in the bathroom on the 14th floor. Last night after my shift." He didn't speak. His eyes moved from the ring to her uniform. The small logo on her chest. Apex Cleaning Services. "You work here, 3rd floor. Nights." She straightened. I recognized the initials inside the band. EC. Everyone in this building knows those initials. Ethan Cole, CO, 42 years old. Worth more than the GDP of a small country. He picked up the ring slowly. Turned it over. His jaw tightened, not with anger, with something harder to name. "You came all the way up here to return this?" "Yes." "Why?" She met his eyes for the first time since walking in. "Because it wasn't mine." He opened his mouth, closed it, looked at her the way people look at something they almost missed. The way you look at a door swinging shut just after you realize what was on the other side. She found a diamond ring worth more than 3 years of her rent. She came back to return it. No negotiation, no hesitation. And she hasn't asked for a single thing yet. Stay with me, because this story starts 3 years before that ring ever hit his desk. 3 years earlier, she had sat in the same building, different floor, different chair, same feeling of being invisible. If you're new here, welcome to Echotales by Ken, where every story reminds us that character is always watching, even when no one else is. Hit subscribe so you don't miss how this one ends. Her name was Zara Mensah, 23 years old, computer science major, first in her family to make it past secondary school, let alone university. She had applied for the Cole Foundation scholarship, a full ride, covering tuition, housing, and a laptop allowance, because without it, the alternative was dropping out. She had worked for it. 3 years of straight A's, 2 part-time jobs, 1 letter of recommendation from a professor who called her the sharpest student he had supervised in a decade. She remembered sitting in the waiting room on the 9th floor, rows of chairs, other applicants in pressed blazers and iron shirts. She had worn her best dress, the blue one her mother had bought for her secondary school graduation. It still fit. The interview lasted 11 minutes. She had counted. 11 minutes. For 3 years of work. 3 years of straight A's and double shifts and a recommendation letter that used the word exceptional twice. 11 minutes, and then silence. Keep watching. The panel of 3 had asked standard questions. She had answered cleanly, confidently, without nerves. She thought it had gone well. It hadn't. The rejection letter arrived 6 days later. A single paragraph. "We regret to inform you. Highly competitive process. We wish you the best in your academic journey." No score, no feedback, no name sign at the bottom, just the Cole Foundation logo and a printed signature. Ethan Cole, chairman. She had stared at that name for a long time. Then she folded the letter, placed it in a drawer, picked up an extra shift at the restaurant where she worked weekends, and kept moving, because that was the only direction available. She didn't post about it, didn't call anyone, didn't sit in that rejection for longer than it deserved. She folded the letter and picked up another shift. That, right there, is who Zara Mensah is before the story even begins. 3 years later, she was still moving. University had become a distant plan, deferred indefinitely. The restaurant job had ended when the owner sold the building. A cousin had told her about Apex Cleaning Services. Night shifts, decent pay by the hour, no experience required. She had taken it without hesitation. The irony wasn't lost on her. Every night she badged into Pinnacle Tower, rode the service elevator to the 3rd floor, and cleaned the offices of people who had once sat across a table deciding her future wasn't worth funding. She didn't carry bitterness about it. Not exactly. She carried clarity. The kind that comes when you stop waiting for a door to open and start understanding exactly what kind of building you're standing in. She was good at her job. Thorough. Quiet. Invisible in the way service workers are always invisible in places like this. On a Tuesday night in October, on the 14th floor executive bathroom, behind the 3rd sink on the left, she found the ring. She wasn't looking for a way out. She wasn't looking for anything. And that is exactly why what happens next will change everything. The day the restaurant closed, Zara sat outside on the curb for 20 minutes. Not crying. just sitting. She had her last pay packet in her hand, $340 cash in a brown envelope. The owner had been apologetic, had shaken her hand, said she was the best worker he'd ever had, and that he wished things were different. She had thanked him, meant it. Then she sat on the curb and did the math in her head. Rent was due in 18 days. Her phone bill was already 2 weeks late. Her mother had quietly stopped asking when Zara was going back to university, which was its own kind of ache. The way people who love you learn to stop hoping out loud. $340. She put the envelope in her bag, stood up, straightened her jacket. Okay, what's next? Not a question. A decision. $340. 18 days of rent. And her response was to stand up and ask what's next. Not what's wrong. Not why me. What's next? Hold on to that. It matters more than you think right now. She found the Apex listing 3 days later. Night shifts, cleaning, Pinnacle Tower, and 4 other downtown buildings on a rotating schedule. The pay was better than the restaurant. The hours were harder. She filled out the form the same afternoon and started the following Monday. She didn't tell her mother which building she'd been assigned to. Some ironies are better carried quietly. Now it was Tuesday night, October, 11:47 p.m. She was on the 14th floor, running behind schedule because the executive lounge had taken longer than usual. Someone had left a full coffee service out, and the cups had dried overnight. She pushed her cart into the executive bathroom. Marble floors, brushed steel fixtures, the kind of bathroom that cost more to renovate than her entire apartment building. She worked quickly. Sinks, mirrors, floors, marble floors, brushed steel, a bathroom that cost more to renovate than her whole building. And she's the one cleaning it at midnight, every night, without complaint, without bitterness. Just work. Keep watching. And then, behind the third sink on the left, half hidden where the cabinet met the baseboard, the ring, she almost missed it, almost swept past it with the cloth. She picked it up slowly. Diamond, platinum band, heavy in a way that felt almost obscene given where she was standing, given what she was wearing, given the $340 that had felt like a lifeline 2 weeks ago. She turned it over. Easy. She stood completely still. Then she put it in her pocket, finished her shift, clocked out, and sat in the service stairwell on the second floor for 11 minutes, the same amount of time her scholarship interview had lasted, and thought about what to do. 11 minutes in the stairwell, the same amount of time they gave her to prove her worth 3 years ago. And now she's sitting with a diamond ring in her pocket that could change everything. What would you do? She could sell it. Easily. No questions asked at the right place. She knew exactly where. It would cover 3 months' rent, her phone bill, her mother's medication refill that had been sitting unpaid since August. She held that thought for exactly as long as it deserved. Then she stood up. The next morning, she was back at Pinnacle Tower at 8:15 a.m. Street clothes. No cart. No uniform. The security guard at the front desk didn't recognize her without it. I need to return something to Mr. Cole's office. Do you have an appointment? No. Then I can't let you through. She asked for a supervisor. Was told one wasn't available. Asked if she could leave the item at reception. Was told items couldn't be accepted without verification. Was told to email the general inquiries address on the website. Every door closed. Every option blocked. A lesser person turns around here. But you already know Zara Mensah doesn't turn around. Watch what she does next. She stood at that desk for 4 minutes. Politely, without raising her voice. Then she asked one more time, not aggressively, just clearly, whether there was any person in this building she could speak to directly about returning a personal item belonging to Mr. Cole. The receptionist paused, made a call, put her on hold for 3 minutes. Someone will come down. That someone was a junior PA named Marcus, who looked at her with barely concealed skepticism, asked her twice what the item was, and when she wouldn't say, made another call. 5 minutes later, she was in the elevator. 14th floor, his office. She walked in. He was on a call. He held up one finger. Without looking at her, she waited. When he hung up, he turned, and she placed a ring on his desk without a word. And in that silence, Something shifted in the room that neither of them had words for yet. Pause for a second. She found that ring at midnight. She came back in the morning. She fought past security, past a receptionist, past every reason not to, and she still didn't ask for a single thing. If that kind of story is what you're here for, hit the like button right now and subscribe so you never miss one. Because what happens next in that office, what he says, what she reveals, and what he does when he finally understands who she is, that is the part that will stay with you. Let's get back into it. He didn't answer immediately. He picked up the ring, turned it over the same way he turned over contracts worth 9 figures, slowly, like the way the thing deserved to be understood before a response was formed. "AC," he said quietly. "Yes." He set it down, looked at her properly for the first time since she'd walked in. "You work in this building. 3rd floor, nights. And you found this last night." "Yes." "And you came back this morning to return it." "Yes." He leaned back in his chair. Something in his expression wasn't quite suspicion and wasn't quite gratitude. Something in between, like a man trying to locate the angle in a situation that didn't appear to have one. "What's your name?" Zara Mensah." He repeated it quietly, not like he recognized it, like he was filing it somewhere. Most people would have kept it. She didn't flinch. "I'm not most people." That line, 4 words, and somehow they land heavier than anything else said in that office all morning. "Stay with me, because he's about to find out exactly what she means." He asked her to sit. She hesitated, then did. He asked how long she'd been with Apex. 8 months, she told him. He asked if she liked the work. She said it was honest work, and she was good at it. Simple, no performance in it. Then he asked if she was in school. Something flickered across her face. Fast, controlled, gone. Not currently. He caught it. He was the kind of man who would build a company by noticing the things people tried not to show. "Were you?" A beat of silence. "I was going to be." He didn't push, but he didn't move on either. He just waited the way powerful people sometimes wait, knowing that silence is its own kind of pressure. She looked at the window, the city below, then back at him. "I applied for the Cole Foundation scholarship 3 years ago. Computer science." She just said it, calmly, directly, in the office of the man whose signature was on her rejection letter. And she's still not asking for a single thing. "Keep watching." "I didn't get it," she finished. The room went very quiet. "I'm not telling you that for any reason," she added quickly. "I'm not here to ask for anything. You asked where I'd been, and I don't lie about where I've been." Ethan Cole said nothing for a long moment. "I sign off on those decisions," he said finally. "I don't sit on the panel, but the final list comes to me. I know. I wouldn't have remembered your application. I know that too." He stood, walked to the window, hands in his pockets. The kind of thinking happening behind his eyes wasn't business thinking. It was a slower, more uncomfortable kind. The kind that happens when a version of yourself you haven't examined in a while suddenly appears in a room and refuses to leave politely. He's standing at that window, trying to figure out who he's dealing with. So are we, because Zara Mensah keeps doing the thing you don't expect, and she's not done yet. "The scholarship process," he said finally, scoring rubric. GPA, extracurriculars, essay, interview, weighted formula. I scored well. Then why? 1 point below the cutoff. She said it evenly. I found out later. From someone who knew someone on the panel. A pause. 1 point. On a formula. Decided by people I never met, and a signature I never saw coming. He turned from the window. She held his gaze without blinking. "I'm not here because of that. I want to be very clear. I came back this morning because the ring wasn't mine. That is the only reason." She stood, picked up her bag. "I should go." "Zara." She stopped. "The ring belonged to my mother." His voice was stripped of everything boardroom now. Quieter, almost unfamiliar to him. "She passed 4 years ago. It's the only thing I have left of her. I didn't realize it was gone until this morning." His mother, for years gone, and the only thing it left of her was sitting in a bathroom on the 14th floor, found by the one person in this building who had every reason not to bring it back. Let that land. She stood very still. I looked everywhere, he said. I thought it was gone. He looked at the ring on the desk between them. Thank you doesn't feel like enough. It's enough, she said simply. And she meant it. She moved toward the door. 1 point, he said quietly behind her. She paused. Hand on the doorframe. 1 point on a formula, he said. And we missed you. She didn't turn around. Yes, she said. You did. And she walked out. She didn't ask for an apology. Didn't wait for one. Just told the truth and left. And that quiet, dignified exit broke something open in Ethan Cole that no business deal ever had. What he does next, that's the part that changes everything. Ethan Cole stood in his office for a long time after she left. Not moving. Not reaching for his phone. Not pulling up the next meeting on his calendar. Just standing. His assistant knocked twice before he answered. He canceled his 10 o'clock. His 11 o'clock. Sat back down at his desk and looked at the ring sitting where she had placed it. Not handed it. Not presented it. Just placed it. Like it was always his. And she was simply returning what belonged to him. He turned it over once more. EC. He thought about the scholarship panel. The committee. The weighted formula. The final list that came to his desk every year. Names and scores in a neat column. The cutoff line drawn cleanly between the ones who made it and the ones who didn't. He had never looked below the line. He never looked below the line. In 3 years of signing off on that list, he never once looked at who was just underneath it. 1 point away. 1 decision away. And Zara Mensah had cleaned his floors every night for 8 months without him ever knowing. He called his head of HR that afternoon. Not his scholarship committee coordinator. Not his foundation director. His head of HR, because what he wanted wasn't a foundation conversation. It was a personnel one. Pull the Apex Cleaning Services contract for me. I want the staff roster for Pinnacle Tower. Specifically 3rd floor nights. He had her file within the hour. Zara Mensah, 23, 8 months with Apex. Performance reviews, exceptional. Attendance, perfect. No disciplinary notes. 1 supervisor comment that made him stop reading for a moment. Works like she's trying to prove something, but never makes it anyone else's problem. He set the file down. Then he pulled up the Cole Foundation scholarship records from 3 years ago. He's looking at 2 files now. The girl who cleaned his floors. And the girl he almost funded. And he started to understand they were always the same person. And he never bothered to look. Her application was still in the system. Essay, transcripts, interview notes, score breakdown. He read every line. Her essay was about her mother, about watching her work double shift for 15 years so Zara could have the option of working with her mind instead of only her hands, about what it meant to be the first, about the specific weight of carrying other people's hopes inside your own ambitions. The interview note said, composed, articulate, strong technical aptitude, slightly underdemonstrated extracurricular breadth compared to top candidates. 1 point. He closed the file, opened it again, closed it. He sat at his desk until the building went quiet around him, until the cleaning crews arrived on the floors below, until the city outside his windows shifted from orange afternoon light into blue-gray of early evening. He stayed in that office until the night shift started, until the people no one sees began moving through the building underneath him. For the first time in years, he heard them. He didn't call Zara that night. He didn't call her the next day either. What he did was quiet and deliberate and entirely unlike the way Ethan Cole usually moved through the world, which was fast, decisive, and forward-facing. He restructured the scholarship review process. Personally, spent 2 weeks working with committee to replace the weighted cutoff formula with a holistic review panel. One that required readers to write a paragraph on every applicant within 3 points of the cutoff line before a final decision was made. He funded 5 additional scholarships for the current cycle out of his personal account, not the foundation budget. And he wrote a letter. He didn't make a press release, didn't post about it, didn't call a single journalist. He just fixed it. Quietly, the same way she had returned the ring. Because that's what she had shown him. That integrity doesn't need an audience. Zara found out on a Thursday morning. A letter. Physical. Hand addressed. No Cole Foundation logo on the envelope, just her name, in handwriting she didn't recognize. Inside, a single page. It wasn't an apology exactly. It was more honest than that. It acknowledged that a process he had trusted without examining had failed someone it shouldn't have. That one point on a formula was not a measure of a person. That the scholarship committee would be reviewing its methodology going forward. And at the bottom, not an offer, an invitation. A fully funded place in the Cole Foundation's new direct entry program for the upcoming academic year. No application, no panel, no formula, just her name. And a question, if you're still interested. She read it twice, sat down at her kitchen table, looked at the eviction notice still pinned to her fridge, paid now, 2 weeks ago, from her last Apex check. And for the first time in 3 years, Zara Mensah allowed herself to cry, not from sadness, from a particular relief of being finally, undeniably seen. She didn't win because she fought. She didn't win because she demanded. She won because she walked into that office with nothing to gain and gave something back anyway. And that is the kind of person the world keeps trying to overlook. Don't let it. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.